Welcome back to the world of GachiaKuta. After surviving the brutal fall into the abyss and meeting the mysterious cleaners, Rudo's journey takes a new turn. In this second arc, he enters the cleaners' headquarters, meets powerful new allies and strange figures, and begins to uncover the truth behind the vital instruments. New challenges, deeper mysteries, and Rudo's growth as both a fighter and a person all begin here. And Jean, Riyo, Rudo, and Zenka all arrive at the cleaners' headquarters. They see Semiyu Greer eating food at the receptionist's desk. Riyo and Zenka say their goodbyes to Rudo for now, while Jean tells Rudo that Semiyu needs to have a look into him. In the middle of this, Semiyu stabs two flies with her fork in front of Rudo's face. She says she heard about him from Jean and wants to see his potential. Jean then describes her vital instrument, which are her glasses that let her see a person's true nature. She uses them on Rudo and sees a static and dark void noticeably flinching at the sight. She avoids talking about this and starts to describe how Rudo has incredible physical prowess and harmony with his vital instrument. She does say, however, that he needs to learn how to control it because it is not stable enough as is. To finish this off, she says how Rudo has shit on his neck, causing Jean to laugh and say that's why flies were swarming them. Jean says bye to Seema, saying that he's going to see the boss. On their way there, Jean describes the system of the cleaners to Rudo, saying that there are about 100 of them and how they're categorized into combatants, guards, and supporters. He takes Rudo to a room where there is a massive gathering of cleaners, but then closes the door, saying there's too many. They arrive at the boss's room, where Jean asks Rudo to say he will be a cleaner and lectures Rudo on how information is valuable. He says not to ask the boss about vital instruments and that none of the cleaners know what vital instrument the boss has. Jean says how despite this they still respect the boss. Jean opens the door and sees Semiyu inside. She says that the boss is on a business trip and won't be back for a while. Rudo gets mad at Jean because he wanted to meet the boss, but Riyo comes into the room and says Rudo should observe the cleaners on a mission as an apprentice. In this panel, we see Riyo tell Rudo to observe the cleaners closely. It shortly cuts to Semiyu explaining the details of the mission. She says that the residents of a town near a polluted zone. The residents say that small trash beasts are approaching their barricade and they need a cleaner to clean them up. Rudo doesn't know what a polluted zone is, so Semiyu the zones to him. Polluted zones, safe zones, and that he fell into no man's land. She then explains that people need to wear masks to survive in polluted zones. Then it cuts back to Rudo observing on the mission. He wonders if the air he was breathing did any damage to him. He remarks on how he didn't think people would be living in a place like the ground. He continues to ponder, wondering if the people on the sphere know any of this. Continuing to look at his surroundings, Rudo gets excited because of the amount of trash around, calling it a treasure trove. Rudo then asks Riyo about some of the other cleaners. Riyo says that they're supporters who lack a vital instrument but still fight the trash beasts. Rudo shakes hands with Greer, but he experiences pain and shock from the grip strength from him. Riyo tells Rudo about Greer's strong grip and how it can pierce a trash beast's armor. Their introductions are cut short as trash beasts are spotted approaching. Rudo is surprised at the amount of them, but Riyo reassures him, saying it'll be easy. Rudo notices how the trash beasts are similar to animals in the way they act. The trash beasts break through the barrier and Rudo starts panicking, but Riyo still reassures him. She says that she is so relaxed because she has ease of mind. Then a bigger trash beast breaks through the barrier and Riyo remarks on how cool it is. She gets excited, saying that a strong opponent fires her up. While holding a pair of scissors, Riyo stares down a horde of aberrant beasts. Those pair of scissors are shown to be her jinki, which she increases in size and uses with her legs. Riyo destroys several of the small aberrant beasts, surprising Rudo with her skill. One of the supporters begins to explain Ryo's jinki to Rudo and calls Ryo's jinki as the Ripper. A supporter also tells Rudo to not slack off just because he is observing. The supporter destroys the aberrant beast behind Rudo and throws it towards Riyo so she could finish it off, with Riyo splitting it in half and suggesting them to throw more to her, with the supporters agreeing. Rudo, taken aback within the battlefield, watches in awe with how everyone works together as a team, even without having any powers. While Rudo thinks, Riyo finished taking out the smaller aberrant beasts and begins to aim for the big one. A supporter got caught by a beast he thought he defeated, but is luckily saved by Rudo. Rudo begins to say why he joined the janitors while activating his jinki with a stick. The stick begins to create a web pattern around the beast and Rudo. Unfortunately, Rudo comes to the realization that he does not know how to use his power. While having that internal monologue, Riyo saves both Rudo and the supporter, praising Rudo for his quick thinking and actions. The other supporter comes and apologizes for letting his guard down, and asks Riyo if she was done cleaning. She replies that she cut it in half, but it won't disappear. Meanwhile, we see a familiar face of the human trafficker from Chapter 3, seen confused and tied up, remembering that Rudo was the one who did this to him. There is also a mysterious person who asks him ominously, "Where'd the sky person go?" Rudo, Riyo, and the other janitors continue their fight with the giant aberrant beast and realize that it is unaffected by their jinky. Riyo mentions that the vital points of the aberrant beasts are the same as a living creature, so cutting it in half should have been enough to kill it. Riyo is not fazed by the situation and decides to keep cutting it up until it stops moving. One of the supporter janitors says they'll record this as a new variety and send out warnings to surrounding towns. Rudo feels like there is nothing he can do to help. Riyo continues cutting up the aberrant beast with her jinky and notices something glowing inside it. The beast attacks, creating cracks in the ground, causing Rudo to fall in. As he falls, he thinks about how he can get revenge on the people above if he can't even use his jinky. The supporter janitor catches him and pulls him up, telling him, "If you have something you want to do before you can't even do it, run." The aberrant beast begins shrieking as Riyo attacks it, cluing her in that it has a weak spot. She lands one final blow and the beast falls. She says that when she pierced through an item it died. It turned out to be powered by a jinky, leaving them wondering how that was possible. Then we see Zanka walks groggily down a hallway towards a noisy room at the end of a hall. Inside the room, the janitors are drinking and celebrating. Zanka asks Riyo what's going on, to which she says they're having a welcome to the underworld party for Rudo. Zanka looks across the room to see Rudo gloomily sitting by himself with his head on the table. Riyo mentions that Rudo's upset that he couldn't use his jinky properly. Zanka asks about the weird aberrant beast from their previous request, and Riyo says that it had a different core. She continues by saying that they were terrified that an aberrant beast could be born from that power. Rudo is still sitting with his head down when someone joins him at the table. He introduces himself as Gris Lubian. He tells Rudo that he did a great job protecting Follow yesterday. Rudo says that since he couldn't use his powers, Gris and Riyo had to save him, and he says that's how it was when he was with Regdo on the surface. He continues on saying that he has to get back up there quickly, and that he will just end up getting saved by someone again if he can't change. Gris says thank you to Rudo, which confuses him. He says that usually, people look down on supporters when they first meet them, thinking that they are weak or a burden, but Rudo is different from them. He points to Follow across the room and says that he joined the janitors to wipe out aberrant beasts and is nurturing a precious item, so he can become a giver. Even if he does become a giver, he plans to continue as a supporter, so those who look down on him will eat their words. Gris asks Rudo what it is he actually wanted to do before he ended up down here, and that he should remember that first, then do what he can to make it happen. Gris reassures Rudo by telling him to be confident and reminds him that he's still alive. As Rudo takes in what he said, Injin shows up and asks if he's eaten anything yet. Riyo, Zanka, and Gris invite Rudo to eat together. Elsewhere, the human trafficker is seen bloody and begging for his life, saying that he said everything he had to say. The mysterious figure smiles and kills him. He says a detailed description of Rudo's appearance and that he's expecting a good souvenir. And that wraps up GachiaKuta's second arc, Workplace Observation. Rudo's first real steps into the world of the cleaners gave us a look at the structure, the tension, and the power dynamics at play. From Simia's unsettling insight to the mystery of the boss, it's clear Rudo's just getting started. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like, comment your favorite moment, and subscribe for more deep dives into GachiaKuta and other amazing manga. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay sharp, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next chapter.